Well, tonight reaction is pouring in after a big decision from the U.S. Supreme Court. The justices ended affirmative action for the college and university admissions process across the country. That means schools can no longer take race into consideration as a specific basis for granting admission. This decision overturns a previous Supreme Court ruling 45 years ago approving the use of affirmative action. Experts discussed what the admission process may look like in the future.
So we might see colleges and universities put more weight, for instance, on where did you grow up? Do your parents have graduate degrees? What zip code did you grow up in?
Hours after the decision, the White House unveiled a series of executive actions to continue boosting diversity on college campuses. President Biden also spoke about the ruling.
I strongly disagree with the court's decision. I believe our colleges are stronger when they're racially diverse.
This case involved Harvard and the University of North Carolina. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote the majority opinion, and in it he said race-conscious admissions programs violate the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. In her dissent, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is the court's first black female justice, she wrote the decision is a, quote, tragedy for us all. So what does this decision mean for the future of universities in our area and what their racial and ethnic makeup might look like? Melissa Kim got reaction from local students and professors on this controversial decision.
Obviously, it's a really terrifying decision.
Isabel Jernigan is a junior at North Carolina Central University, a historically black college, a choice that she made because she wanted to experience a different perspective.
I've been exposed to so much more than I would have been if I chose to go to a predominantly white university. And I'm really grateful for it.
She disagrees with the Supreme Court's ruling on affirmative action because
it's just like shutting people down and closing people out.
Meanwhile, Maryland Congressman Glenn Ivey, who represents Prince George's County, was not happy with the Supreme Court's decision.
I was disappointed but not surprised,
saying it will change the landscape of what student populations look like, especially at schools where the acceptance rate is less than 5%, like Harvard, where the congressman is an alum.
I think it could have some impact on, how many people get into, for example, the highly selective schools.
But what will this do in the big picture of education in America? Well, according to Professor Jamil Jaffer at the Antonin Scalia School of Law at George Mason University, it further highlights the inequities among students based on socioeconomics.
What we have to recognize as a nation is that we are not treating everybody the same way when it comes to their educational opportunities, right? And we can't just solve for that problem when you get to college through a race-based methodology.
Which could have a trickle-down effect on schools like Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology in Alexandria. WUSA 9 followed this story closely for years. A federal appeals court upheld the constitutionality of a new admissions policy that critics said discriminated against Asian American students.
To the extent that race is a critical factor in deciding who gets or doesn't get into TJ, that may have to change as well.
Melissa Kim, WUSA 9.
Virginia's Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earle-Sears put out a statement applauding today's Supreme Court decision, saying college admissions should be based on a student's merits, not the color of their skin. The statement goes on to say, quote, today's decision is a tremendous victory for our country and gives our children a hope and a future. America continues to work toward her declared ideal that all men are created equal. Last year, Earle-Sears signed on to a legal briefing asking the Supreme Court to restrict the use of racial preferences in college admissions. She is the first woman of color elected to statewide office in Virginia.